Guys, today is the last exam, so our approach is going to be very different from what we have done. Technically, it's like the last over. We are changing something. Until now, it's like different. If you ask me what is the approach for taxation, be safe. Make sure you cross that 40 because there's a risk in taxation that you might get less than 40. The same with audit. Attempt the whole paper. It is very hard to increase your score in audit. Now, if audit is the last paper, the approach would have been different. Because right now, if you're getting 137, it's useless. You understand? Let's say your pre-existing score is 90. If you have to get to 150, the only way you'll get to 150 is getting 60 in this. There is no merit in getting 47 in this. Understand? So you have to figure out a mechanism to cross the aggregate. Individually clearing a paper called FM and SM is pointless. Until now, largely what we decided, let us focus on clearing those respective papers with extra cushion in papers like costing, papers like accounting. These two papers, let's try to get to 55 so that it is safe. So as of today, all that is done and dusted because all this while you had to handle a lot of stress. So when there is already pre-existing stress, I cannot force you to do something. Ideally, let's get 55 in every subject, but that doesn't happen like that. And some of you had to go through a lot of personal challenges, health issues, and all of these are also real things. So it cannot work according to script. So first thing which I want to do is, at least for group 2, think about the numbers. Now I never ask you how did you write, what happened. Even I am yet to have a look at any of the question papers because I want to be so unbiased. I don't even know what has happened so far. But today, what I want to do is think about the numbers. Costing, what is it you would score? Auditing, what is it you would score? Think about those two. I don't even want your numbers. You think about it. 150 minus costing plus audit. What is the score you have to get in FMSM? You think about it. Think about it in terms of a specific number, not a range. Costing plus audit, add both. Costing plus audit, add both. Costing plus audit, add both. And tell me a number which I have to score in FMSM. If I have to cross, let's say 152. What is the number? Tell me numbers. How much you have to get in FMSM to cross 150? 50. How much you have to get in FMSM to cross 152 or something? 60. 60. 60. 60. Now, this could be true or may not be true because when you calculate, you might be calculating conservatively. And let's say if that is the case, you can even pass, even if you get 55. Now tell me a second figure. It could be a conservative number. What is the minimum you should definitely get? There could be some chance mechanism here. It's like unless you get that number, you won't touch 150 at all. Which means I'm asking you to take an optimistic stand about the remaining papers. If the remaining papers are optimistic, here you have to get less. If the remaining papers are pessimistic, you have to get more, right? Now tell me one more number. Tell me one more number which you should definitely get. Once again, this could be slightly on a conservative note in other subjects. So what is that definite number which you should get? Like it should be like the 40. What is it you definitely get which will help you to cross 150? I'm telling you 150 this time, not even 152. For you to get 150, what should you definitely get? If you don't get that, you can't touch 150. What is that minimum possible number you should get? So which means you have to tell me an optimistic figure over the previous two papers. What is the minimum you should definitely get? Otherwise, there's no point in. No, you said 55. Right?
Like when you calculate plus or minus there.
No. You're not missing the question. What is the number which you should get?
40.
Chance on the bottom. Why is there significant difference? I don't understand. Why is there?
That difference, I mean, it's near somewhere 40 to 45. It's something like that. I mean, I'm taking.
See, once again, understand the question very, very clearly. Don't give random bullshit figures. This is not an easy decision. The reason why I am telling you this is the approach is going to change based on these numbers. On a regular over, you don't think of hitting all sixes. Last over, the score is 19. If you have to hit 19, you no longer think about wickets. You only think about how do you get to 19, even at the expense of losing wickets. So what I'm trying to tell you is, this is a very different scenario. So come out of that regular mentality. I'm looking at it to get the, I'm looking at it as a platform to cross the aggregate. There's no point in passing this paper and not getting aggregate. It's a unique scenario. So when you say 40, 60, you will not understand the question. I'm asking you two things. Now let's say if the remaining two subject scores are 105, you have to get at least 45 years, right? Now when we arrive at this score called 105, it could be a pessimistic estimate or optimistic estimate. So if you think it's an optimistic estimate, you have to get 145 only. If you go with the pessimistic estimate, if you think you are going to get 90, it will become 60 here. This is exactly how we are giving. I am telling you reduce the range. 15 marks is too much of a range. The range should not be so big. The range should be closer. So that is exactly what I am trying to tell you. Understood? So what is that minimum score which you have to get so that you will definitely cross 150? Think of it clearly. Tell me a number. We'll give you one sense of estimates. Now what is that number? We'll freeze this number and we'll build a strategy around this. You have to definitely get 60. Understood? Okay, you have to definitely get 60. You have to definitely get 60.
It's 50.
50. Okay. 50. Okay. Okay, so it's like this. It's a different thing. If they're not getting 60, if they're not crossing the aggregate, it's pointless. Like we don't need a participation certificate in this. That I have clear. The objective for today's discussion is how do you cross the whole group? It is not about this paper. So if this is the case, we have to be bold like this. When I say bold like this, we are not looking at singles. We are not looking at staying not out. We are looking at winning the match. If that is the case, every ball you have to get like a 6. Most of them even. Otherwise, you'll get out. There's no point in not getting out and not winning the match. Get out if you have to, in the pursuit of winning the match. Making sense? Understand? Huh. So now I want you here and help them achieve this. Like let's look at a base score of 55. I think this is a base score, as you said. How can all of them get 55 for sure? What is it they have to do? 3 steps which will get them to 50. My regular discussion with you is what is it they have to do to write the paper well or complete the paper. Now here for FMSL, since you have 2 different papers here, what are the 3 things which should be done to get to 55? I need a strategy to get 55, not 40. If the strategy works, they get 55. If it fails, they might get 35. That's okay. I don't want 40 in this. It is useless. For me, 35 is fine, 55 is fine. So first thing, if we are looking at 55, what is the first thing which should happen? To get 55 in the numerator, what is the first thing which should definitely happen?
First thing that should definitely happen is choosing whether to write FM or SM in the first hour and getting the maximum out of it. Because both of them equally carry 50-50. It's not 60-40 anymore. So maximizing SM can also get you more marks than what might be thinking in FM. Like I had also gone to the same conclusion that FM might be stronger. But once I read the question paper, I feel like SM would have been more scoring.
Okay.
And SM having the MCQs also, gives an extra edge.
So let's say for us to get to 55, what should happen? Let's do first 1 hour, second hour, third hour. First 1 hour we have to get to 20, second hour 20, third hour 15. Okay? This is what can get us to 55. I think this is exactly what we are looking at. Clear? Okay. First 1 hour, what is it you can do to get 20 for sure? What is it? Now this time no rules. If it has to be MCQ, it has to be FMSM. I don't know what to do. I'm not even asking you about the denominator this time. It's not about 40 in the denominator. It's only 20 in the numerator. Even if you cover 60 marks ground over there, I want 20 in the numerator. What is it you should do to get to 20 here? what is it? What will you do to get 20 in the numerator? This is numerator. Starting with calculation. You want to start FM. How many questions will write?
1 or 2 questions.
Then how do you get to 20 in the numerator?
The capital structure and multipliers.
How do you get to 20 in the numerator?
Return to 42 and clear it off.
Then how many questions have you write?
3 questions.
Can you finish 3 questions? That is the question. Think through. I'm giving you a minute. Don't give me vague possibilities. How do you get to 20 in the numerator? First one, 20. Think through thoroughly. Or you can have a look at the question papers if they're around you. So I want you to have a look at the question paper. Tell me how you are going to get to 20. 20 in the numerator. It's compulsory case. If this is not achieved, it's very hard. This has to be achieved. How do you get to 20 in the numerator in the first one? It should definitely happen. It should not be a chance mechanism. It should definitely happen. Well, the first hour, what is it they have to do in the first hour so that they can get 20 in the numerator? And they decided to get 55 because otherwise, until they get 55, the aggregate won't happen. Clearing FMSM without aggregate is useless. So we are going with an aggressive strategy. Either get 35 is fine, 55 is fine, 40 is useless, 45 is useless because there's no point in getting 143. 120 is also fine. In the attempt to win, if you take a couple of fixes, you get out, that's okay.
Yes.
But staying at degrees and not winning is absolutely useless.
Maybe for the first one, they should start with SM. Out of the 5 chapters, at least they are on the command of 3 chapters for sure. So once if they attempt SM questions, it's just theory, they can drop down fastly and also 15 marks from MCQs they can attempt.
Okay, this is one perspective. You think through and let me know. I'll tell you the constant in that. And for others, please understand, if you have already crossed 110, for example, if you are costing, if you are in a position to score 55, audit is a position to cross 50, you're already in the 105 or 110 range, then this approach is slightly different. Then focus on getting 45, that's it. Don't become aggressive. Try to get to that. It's like you just have to score 6 runs in the last over, then play conservatively. Now, depending on how much you have to score, your strategy has to change. If 6 runs have to be scored, do only singles. Don't mess up like what South Africa did. If you have to score 19 runs in the last over, just win the match. It doesn't matter. Just keep hitting. That's how it has to go. Okay? So don't get carried away by just this framework. It has to depend. But most of them, they have to get at least 50. Kushal, what is it you are doing the first 1 hour to cross 20?
I'll start with MCQs.
MCQs. Sure.
Exactly, sir. It will be within 40 minutes. I can actually, at least I can cover.
I'm saying 1 hour. I don't even care
Yeah,
40 minutes.
1
1
hour.
hour you can pakka will get 20.
Yeah.
What is the basis? Like you have to be very accurate. What is the basis that you'll cross 20 in MCQs?
Sir, SM it's actually 15 marks. So if I can score 12 or 14 over there, rest I can cover it in the FM. So
No, what is the basis? What makes you think you're already good at MCQs?
So like past attempts and
You're
all, I was
comfortable?
able to score in and around 18 to 20 marks.
So you have reasons to believe that you can score 20 in MCQs.
Yeah.
Okay, let me write MCQs. And then what else you can do? MCQs, let's say it takes 40 minutes or 1 hour. How much time do you need?
Takes 40 to 45.
And then can you write one more question?
Hmm.
Which question from there?
It will be sort of theory part is easier. In FM, I'll start with theory, or else I'll go to SM. Because in 4A, it's only theory based questions and they'll ask really precise questions. So, 2-3 points, I can complete the whole question itself.
So I don't want to take too many decisions. For you to know whether SM is easy, SM is easy, you have to put in those 15 minutes. That is the reason why I'm very concerned about reducing the number of questions. Now, which has a higher likelihood? Let's say you should be able to find one question which you can score 8 to 10 marks, right? Is that possibility there in FM or SM?
FMC.
FM is okay. Start with that. Now, if this is a scenario, how would you use your first 15 minutes?
I would start with directly FM, so I would start
Processing.
working notes, I'll start all the
If
processing.
that is the case, what you can do is, okay, use the 15 minutes to process 2 questions. Probably start with one question. If the accuracy rate is high for the second question also, finish then do MCQs in the first one. It's like in the first hour. It need not be MCQs per se, right? I'm saying this question plus MCQs in the first hour, unlike what we do. Now what will happen with this is, you know that you're going to cross 20, 25 at least. Then the game is, in the next 2 hours, how can you get to 30? Because you have to create a strong intent. You can hit 6 on the 6th ball or first ball. When you hit 6 on the first ball, it sets a strong intent for the whole over. You understand? So I want you to set a strong intent where you're looking at 55. Let's say ICS is 55 is the passing mark. You look at it that way. 55 is the passing mark. That is exactly how our process. Is this clear? So for Kushal, it's a combination of MCQs of FM. In the first 15 minutes, you're directly jumping to FM. Last question, question number 4, maybe question number 8. We process the question, one more question, identify 2 questions. That's it. Don't even look at the first question. 2 questions identify, ready with it. Out of 3 questions, you will have to identify 3 or 4. Okay? 2 questions are ready. You write 1 question entirely. Probably you'll be touching 10 or 7, 8, whatever number it is. And then finish MCQs of both. Then you complete FM and then you move on. This is for Kushal. Done. Sadak, what do you want?
I want to attempt this 3 and 3. Starting with FM.
You want to start with FM? Then?
And within 1 hour, like I'll complete 2 questions. And in question number 1, I'll cross around 10 marks based on the difficulty of the bit. Like for question.
No, 2 questions is FM, 2 questions is 20 marks, right? The denominator?
No, sir, total 4 questions are there. 1 is choice. So only like 3.
No, first question is for 15 marks, right?
Yeah.
The other 2 questions are like 10 plus 10.
Yeah.
Now when you say you're attempting 2 questions, you're only attempting for 20 marks. That is the constant question which I'm asking. Even if you attempt 20 marks, even if you score well, it's still 12 in the numerator. How do you get 20 in the numerator? Unless you attempt all the questions, you cannot get to 20 right?
But probably I'll attempt all the questions.
In 1 hour is it enough?
Yeah.
Are you sure about it? Because you attempt 2 questions and then the first question also, all of that should happen in first 1 hour.
Yeah.
Okay. Why this approach instead of why are you not tackling MCQs?
Because that needs more kind of presence, mental presence.
Mental presence.
I think once we process that whole thing, we will be
Easy. So okay, this is the now I understood. So when you're saying 2 questions, that is my concern. It's only 20, but you should be able to attempt all 3 questions. Probably slight 5 minutes extra is fine, but largely 1 hour you will get it. Okay, for Sadak, what he believes is FM is good with it. So he wants to attempt all the 3 questions in FM with a weightage of 35 marks, which will help him to get to 20, right? Largely 1 hour plus or minus 5 minutes. Done. Haripal.
So I want to do the MCQs first, which will take 30 to 35 minutes.
You can use up to 45 minutes, that's not a problem.
And then SM will start.
You'll start SM.
Yeah,
MCQs plus SM.
Yeah.
Which? Okay.
Which at least I can do one question.
One question.
So it will, denominator will be 40.
Now it's no longer about the denominator, let's only count numerator.
Yeah, it will easily cross 20.
Okay, done. So in your case, the first 15 minutes, you are tossing 2 questions of SM. Or would it makes like, okay, I'll get back to that. So you're starting your SM and selecting 2 questions, 3 questions and processing it. And when you start at 2 o'clock, would you first want to answer these questions or would you first want to start first MCQ?
Because by then you can also pick up points from
MCQs. Fair enough. Done.
So I'll be starting with MCQs, SM is a strong subject, so I'll be doing MCQs of SM, and I'll be attempting a question of SM. So in case cross, I will 35 to 40, so I'll be doing that.
I'll be starting with MCQs and then I'll move to with SM and I'll attempt 2 questions in SM. So that I could score 30 marks easily. Is it possible?
30 marks?
30 marks. Like, I'll be like answering the MCQs, right? Based on the previous patterns, I've scored reasonably good marks, like 25, 26 and all. So, and 2 questions in SM. Like, I'll be attempting 2 questions in SM, which means I'll be attempting 40 marks. That gives an easy possibility of scoring 30 marks in the attempted questions.
Okay, you understood the perspective. There are some gaps. Come here. So the first concern is, if they write regular articles, they have a reasonable idea of whether they're right or not. They know how much they're going to skip. MCQ, it's 2 or 0, or 1 or 0 for that matter. It's binary.
Yeah.
They don't know. They'll write an answer knowing that they know, but they don't know. So biggest variation might be MCQ because it could be 0, where they think it's 2. So there's the risk in this. And also, as Sadak said, the mental processing is required for accuracy in MCQs. Accuracy, it has to be 100% accurate, absolute assurance. So which may not be happening in the first 1 hour. So what was your experience in terms of dealing with this paper? Especially, it was an easy day. You felt some level of discomfort as compared to costing.
Yeah.
So what was your experience in this regard, and how should they go about it after looking at everything? Nikta, hold the phone. Harry hasn't hold the phone.
Yeah, so like he said, for me, MCQs take a lot of time to process. In the sense that you can either make it or break it.
Yeah.
It's not like you get step marking or anything.
Right.
Mainly when you go to FM MCQs also, they basically give you a 10-marker question and give you a case scenario like that. So it needs a lot of mental intent. So, but I directly I read both the papers and I felt SM was more scoreable in the given time to score a lot. So I started with SM. I started with SM questions first, and not MCQs. So I finished all the effort. This is what I did. It's not what I'm not telling you have to do. I finished all the questions of SM and I went to SM MCQs. Then I went to FM questions.
Last.
FM MCQs I kept it for the very last.
Oh, that's very interesting. It's very different. Understood, right? SM questions, SM MCQs, FM questions, FM MCQs. From what we wanted to start versus what she has done, it's very different. Did the strategy work, or what?
I mean, when I saw the paper in the processing only, I took more than, even after 2 o'clock, I was reading the paper till 2:10 because I didn't know where to start.
Yes.
Most of the questions seemed like everything had holes in it. So the scoring part for me felt like SM. So when I was processing SM questions, I've written down the answers of what might have been the possibility. And MCQ paper also they give you late.
Right.
They give you the question paper to process first. So I wasn't even in a stand where
To know whether
to
what-
know
yeah,
whether
yeah.
MCQs also I'll be able to score for sure. So I started with SM questions. SM questions and I got a reasonable clarity. SM MCQs are relatively easier to answer. You just need that processing. You have to have full concentration on processing the question to get it right, because in SM MCQs it always seems like two options. A, B, C, D is not the problem. A or B or A or C. It's always you're stuck between those two options. So SM MCQs I went, then I went to the FM questions.
Right. So, no matter what is happening here, it's like a boardroom meeting, but on the ground it's very different. That we have already realized. But having said this, the next 6 hours of extreme cognitive effort will save you 6 months. There is a possibility that this is the only chance for you to save you 6 months. So, during the exam, before the exam, continuously keep following this. The regular maintenance which you give for stress. Normally, why do you act in a certain way? Because you give room for stress. Okay, I'm stressed, let me think like this, let me not answer questions, let me not talk to people. So all of this is fine on a regular day. Today when the target is aggressive, you don't have a choice. You definitely have to make sure that is minimalized, only focus on this. Now we have discussed the range of alternatives. So you can be having a base. Okay, this is the approach. So the only concern here is MCQs we don't know. It might be tricky. You might be thinking 20, it might end up as 10. We don't know. So that is our only concern. But largely, finish one part, then move on to the other subject. Context switching. Finish one subject, then move on to the other subject. Right? This is decided. Rule number 1, attempt 100 marks. Attempt 100 marks. Rule number 2, finish one subject, then move to the other subject. Rule number 3, focus on the numerator, not on the denominator. Today, 20, 20, 15 is what you have to achieve. So for you to get to 20, do that. Let's say today, you know 3B. You don't know 3A. Leave space and move to 4A. Today it's different. You understand? We are acting with a sense of aggression. Now again, what is the downside of it? You might lose control. It's like when you're driving at 40, you have control. There is no chance of accident. When asked to drive at 100, you might hit something. But let's say you're an ambulance driver, or the patient is about to die. if you're going at 40, the patient is anyways going to die. Even if you reach that destination, there is no point. So this is what you have to understand, provided this is right. If you have a possibility of scoring 105 to 110 already in the two papers, none of this is needed. We'll stick to the same old style of one step at a time. Okay, today this is where I want to stop. This is where I want to conclude, because there's an element which ICI requires. Do you deserve to clear? Do you have the intent? Because as much as we want to make everyone clear, ultimately ICI has a certain expectation in its mind that this is exactly how my finalist should be. That expectation is going to get tested. I have reason to believe that you have done the hard work, but what you have to do is, you have to do something which you have not already done, which is qualitative cognitive thinking. And today there is no room to process your stress or emotions. Be ruthlessly robotic in terms of how decision making has to be taken. With this, I am summarizing and concluding this discussion. And thank you, DK, for the insights. Okay, got it? Cool.